Okay, let's go ahead and kind of get started here a little bit there, folks. Um, so for those of you watching this, on the Unreal, I'm starting a little bit early. It's like about 5 minutes early than I would normally start for the Unreal. So give me a few minutes in terms of connecting with Blackheart. Um, for those of you watching the stream, wasn't able to um, take care of everything early enough to start up the stream like I normally would. Um, would normally start up the stream around 1 p.m., but uh, wasn't able to get to it. So, but I mean, did a very long stream last night, so um, so yeah, that was uh, you know, well, that was quite a bit last night. So for those of you that might not be aware, I did a stream all the way up until midnight, for the New Year's. So um, playing some Genshin Impact. So uh, that was a good evening. I had a fun time. Granted, the what I was doing in game was rough, but because they say that it was an event, but it felt more like a full-on quest for the amount of, dialogue, um, you know, cinematics and stuff like that that they did. It's like that wasn't an event. That was a full-on quest. What are you doing? But whatever. Um, so yeah, obviously slept late, got lunch late, and now streaming late. But we should be able to get back to our normal routine tomorrow. That shouldn't be too much of a hassle. Um, so um, today we're going to be continuing our journey in the Unreal, or at least um, we'll see. I haven't received anything from Blackheart, but I'm assuming that he'll be, joining us, for today. Obviously, I'm giving him a little bit of time, so no rush. If he's like watching right now, don't rush. Just um, whenever you're able to, you know, come on board. No worries on that. Um, the so we're going to be continuing on with the submixes um later on today, or in just a few minutes. So we'll be continuing on with that in just a minute or two. Um, I have the video uploads to continue to work on. And then later on tonight, we got some Terraria. So, so uh, that's everything that's going to be kind of happening tonight. Um, so I hope everybody enjoyed their New Year's. Uh, hope it was filled with families, friends, loved ones. Um, you know, uh, hope you all had a good time. Uh, you know, or at least, try to enjoy it as much as you could, you know. So, um, So, uh, also want to try to maybe talk with Blackheart a little bit as well, because um, my efforts to try to find work haven't really been met with has been pretty much met with silence from corporations. So, um, you know, uh, one of the things that, hold on a second, I need to blow my nose. Be right. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so let's see. Okay, looks like Blackheart is getting started on his end, so we'll be joined here shortly. And then we will get started. Um, but I had thought lines about, maybe something else that we could do. But again, I don't know if he'd be willing to join me in on that venture or not. Because it's not, well, with recent controversies concerning charity events and stuff like that, um, it makes me wonder if even I can, do something worthwhile along those lines. Which, I mean, I know that I can't do it by myself. I would need help. So, you know, I have a website that I was thinking that I would put together, but it kept on getting larger and larger in scope, and um, you know, I always thought that I might need like a hand on working on the website. So, oh, there he is. Let's go ahead and invite Blackheart into the chat, into the stage. There we go.
Hello there, Jim. How you doing?
Not bad there, Blackheart. Not bad. Kind of started late myself, but
Hmm.
yeah. Um, you know,
Didn't sleep too well? Or
hmm.
maybe you went to sleep a little too late?
Slept. Well, I mean, stayed up late for everything. Um, you know, and then woke up late, had lunch late, and started the stream late. So I was like going, okay, well, can't really do any of the Pega, so I'm just gonna have to start up with Unreal um, today. So, but obviously I'll pick up the um, Pega again tomorrow. So, seeing that I'm probably not gonna be staying up until midnight tonight anyway. So, wait, I gotta
Something
close
wrong?
it. Yeah, I forgot that I had
Another
backup.
night late?
I forgot that I had background music going. It's like, oops. Okay.
Gotta be careful with that,
Oh
especially if it's
yeah.
not straight from YouTube.
Oh yeah, I know. I know. Um, one of the things that I was also kind of, well, maybe, uh, maybe after we're done with the Unreal, let's talk a little bit more. Um, or if you can, I would like to discuss something with you. Okay?
Sure.
But obviously, I don't want to, take people's time up with the Unreal. So we can get started on the Unreal here. Um, but I want to discuss something more with you afterwards. Sounds good?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay.
Is there
Um,
not like if you haven't tried your maybe try and reset your what's it called again? Modem? And you see if that refreshes and helps with the internet connection. Yes, someone in my chat having some internet issues.
mm, well, I mean, it all depends on, how much they're running. You know,
If it ain't that modem, then it's the internet service itself.
could be. Could be something within their own personal network too. Like they could be, uh, like someone else could be like streaming some movies or TV shows on their internet, which could be taking up a lot of their bandwidth as well. So,
Downloading will be the biggest issue, not so much the viewing a video on
well, I
the
mean,
streaming service.
well, no, I mean that would take up a lot of data being transferred into your network if you tried to stream like a TV or movie, or someone else was streaming like streaming in a TV or movie at the same time that you're like if you have like you know 10 TV shows trying to run on your internet at the same time, something's going to give. It's
Yeah,
kind of
that many, yeah.
you know or something. I'm just well, I mean, it all depends on how fast their internet connection is too. You know,
And how many people are using it. So a lot of people using it, that can also cause internet issues.
yeah. So um, if they have an open connection, if they don't have like a closed connection on their internet, then someone else could be like connecting into their Wi-Fi. That could be also a thing. You know, so yeah, lots of different things that could be happening on the internet. So okay, let's see. Last we left off, um, where were we? We were talking about the wet and dry levels within the submix properties last time. Did we get any further than that? I don't think we did we? I think we just pretty much got to the submix effects and that was it.
Yeah, I think we got to just submix effects.
Okay.
We didn't get to the part of making the submix itself.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go ahead and start that up, shall we?
Yeah.
Alright, so a number of submix effects are available using the Synthesis and DSP Effects plugin. This plugin is made by Epic, and new synthesis, source effects, and submix effects are often added to this plugin. Third-party plugin makers can also easily add to the list of available submix effects. The general requirement for non-sound field submix effects is that they are able to handle multiple audio channels, up to 8 channels. Okay. Um, Making submix effect presets. A submix effect preset is an asset that exists in the content browser and is hooked up to the submix effect chain to create a sub.
Mittens! Ah! Want me to pull on your whiskers or something? God damn it! Don't pinch me! I'm busy! Ah, pinch me so hard right now.
Ouch. pinched you. That's
Yep.
not normally what a cat does, but
Bro, this one loves to pinch me.
hmm, I mean, pinch is normally fingers, so maybe
Oh no,
bite.
she uses her teeth to like pinch.
Oh,
Like
she
literally pinches with her teeth.
okay, but well, bite pinch, yeah. Okay. Do you need a minute?
No, she's hiding right now. She knows what she did.
Okay. Got through the armor. That dragon armor wasn't enough to handle the cat bite. Oof.
Oh, this kitty's got a mean bite.
uh, Alright. To create a submix effect preset, right-click on the content browser and then select Sound Effects and the submix effect preset. This will give you a class picker where you can select the effect you want to create the preset asset for. Okay, so they're showing various items there, convolution, delay, dynamics, filter, a lot of stuff that, yeah, we're probably gonna have trouble determining which one is best.
Yeah.
Maybe, even then, it's like, what exactly is this doing overall? I mean, it probably would be nice to be able to see like what like different effects or what the different effects sounds like so we can go, oh, so that's what the convolution is or that's what the delay is or that kind of stuff. So, or some kind of audio reference to them in some fashion or another. Um, just to kind of understand like, you know, I think at some point in time I'll need to like look up on YouTube and see if there's like a video out there that basically says this is what reverb is, and then they kind of play a sound and they add the reverb effect into it, kind of thing. Like or they basically say, okay, here's the normal sound, and then it goes like car horn or something like that, and then they go, okay, this is what you do if you add a reverb to it, and blah blah blah. You know, I don't know. Be kind of nice to if there's something like that out there, but oh well. I'll see if there's or if anybody knows, then feel free to maybe post that into the comments of the video, and we'll go from there. So. Note, plugins will automatically extend the options available in the pick submix effect class list. Um, okay. Okay. So, any plugins you add will be automatically added. Gotcha. Blueprint APIs and submixes. Submixes can be very useful in blueprints. For example, you can reference a submix in a blueprint by creating a sound submix variable reference. Okay. All right. Recording submix audio in a blueprint. Okay. Submixes support recording the audio output of a submix to either a PCM, pulse code modulation WAV file. Okay. That is output to disk. Okay. Or to a sound wave asset. Only one recording per submix can be active at a time. The default path for saved WAV files is saved bounced WAV files. Sound waves are saved to the root directory of the content browser. Okay. Um, hmm.
Mm.
I mean, it, obviously you're going to be needing uh, you're going to be needing to hold on to the sound, the sound files and stuff like that, but it's saving it creating a submix and creating a completely different wave out of it. It's like seems kind of odd because you would think, that um, sound mix would be, a mixture of all different kinds of sounds, right? So you'd have um, you'd have sound files of all those, smaller individual sounds that are being added into the submix, right? So why would you want to have that as lar a larger WAV file? It's not like you're going to be repeating that WAV file over and over again because sometimes you might need to uh, change, what's um, like the ordering of said sound. Like for example, if you're having like some gunfire or something like that, it might not always be consistent or like, timed in the right spots or anything along those lines based off of other sounds, right? So you wouldn't necessarily want to save like 10 seconds of sound in the WAV file. So so this seems a little odd to me, but I don't know. Um, do you do you think there's something that you can think of that might be useful for this?
All I can think is a looping sound, probably. Something that's constantly running, you need it to loop.
All right, but I mean, wouldn't you want to have that as like a separate audio or something like that? You know, I don't know.
Well, two types of audio can exist: a looping audio and the cue audio. We've seen whenever we look at on the engine itself with the samples, there was always one that was the loop and the other one that was on cue. Maybe
All right.
those
Uh,
are the same audio, but at the same time they're not.
yeah, I'm just, you know, it, the problem that I have with it is that, this is meant to save the submix, which is like, okay, well, if you have the audio, you know, um, that's great, but you know, you add it, you add like multiple audios into a submix. Why would you want to save the submix afterwards, kind of thing? That's what that's what's kind of weirding me out a little bit. Like you have like three different,
Reusability, perhaps.
maybe, I don't know. It doesn't sound like. I mean, unless they're wanting to just basically say, hey, we can't add these audios directly into our own mixer, so we're gonna use the engine to do it. Um, then maybe like, hey, I'm going to add in like we're in a metal factory and we're gonna want to just keep the ambient sounds the same, but we have like the hammering over there, we have the burning sounds over there, we have the music, so we're all gonna kind of combine that all together into one soundtrack
One
submix
looping soundtrack, pretty
that will
much.
just kind of repeat over time or something like that. Then maybe
I do see that.
and that way you don't have to save like the individual files, but yet at the same time you're still probably going to be wanting to have those individual sounds anyway. So uh,
You would have both options available if you play on this. Like you have the individual sounds on one side, but then you have everything mixed in together for a specific area, and you don't have to worry about doing that again.
yeah, I don't know. Seems a little odd to me, but I mean, I could see like maybe the need for it, like a very nuanced need for it, maybe, but I don't see it as something that you would really want to use often. So I'm just, that's my mind right at this moment in time. Maybe it is used often. I don't know, but it doesn't seem like it would be something that would be. So I'm just saying, you know. Um, you can change either of these paths when setting up finished recording output. See below. So, so start recording output properties, expected duration, an optional advanced parameter to pre-allocate an internal audio buffer in seconds for the anticipated duration. Submix to record, the submix you want to record. Pause recording output, pauses the recording. Resume recording output, resumes the recording. Finish recording output, ends the recording, saves it. Okay, that's a weird sentence there.
They forgot the and there in the middle.
Yeah. Properties. Export type. Whether to export or save the submix recording as a WAV file or a sound wave. Now, I could see the need for saving it as a sound wave, as a U asset, something that you can reuse, like during the gameplay, kind of thing. So you're combining the sounds into something in the engine itself. It saves it as a engine asset that will be reused by the engine while the game is playing. I can understand that, but having it save as like a separate file itself that seems odd to me. That's why I was like going, why would you want to save it as a different WAV file? That just gets put right back into the engine again, that kind of thing. So that's
I
why I was
guess
like,
it's in the case that it's something you know you're gonna use, but you don't want to edit it. Well, the U asset is something you can edit.
yeah. So
So it's a safe measure that you don't edit the wrong thing.
yeah. But like I said, I would see the U asset being, used more often in my vision, in my mind, then I would see the need for the WAV file being saved. That's it. That's that's my mind. You know, if it's the other way around, then well, I'll need to be corrected on that. But but that's just how my vision is on this. You know, do you kind of also agree, or do you kind of see the need for a WAV file being, something that
I would
could be
have to experiment with that in order to determine that.
okay? That's reasonable. That's reasonable. Um, like I said, I'm obviously, uh, I'm not 100% sure, but that's all. I'm just kind of putting my initial thoughts out there. Okay, so we have the name of the asset. We have the path of the exported asset. If nothing is entered, it will save to the default path for the export type. Okay. Submix to record the submix that was recorded, and existing sound wave to overwrite. If saving as a sound wave, you have the option to overwriting a previous asset. Huh. Okay. Interesting. So, real-time analysis and blueprints. Submixes support the retrieval of real-time analysis in a blueprint either through envelope following or through spectral analysis, such as the fast Fourier transform, FFT. Okay, we're getting into very nuanced or, very, terms that I'm not 100% sure about here,
Yeah,
envelope and
same.
FFT, but uh, let's see if they explain a little bit more. Add envelope
Hopefully.
Add envelope follower delegate is added when the new envelope data is added on, is available on the submix. That doesn't help. It is called with the envelope value of the submix per channel, left, right, center, left surround, right surround, and so on. Okay. Start envelope following starts the submix envelope follower with the given submix. If the delegate is hooked up, it will begin to fire. Um, okay. I don't know. This,
Yeah. They don't bother explaining what the envelope is for anyone that isn't a sound engineer.
yeah.
So what does the envelope have? What is its purpose?
And it does this basically the same thing with the spectral analysis, which again is, I don't know what it really covers. So I'm thinking let's go ahead and kind of skip these two sections because I don't know
Yeah.
what it's really talking about,
We
to
will
be
have to
honest.
look this up through some other source that
Mm,
will explain what they actually are.
yeah. I mean, if someone understands these two properties better, then, feel free to put it in either comments right now in our chat during the live stream or, in the comment section in the video itself. We would appreciate any guidance along those lines. Even if it's like maybe a link to another video that might explain it better, that works just as well. So, um, but volume control and blueprints. Um, let's move on to that one.
Yeah.
Volume controls can also be set for submixes from a blueprint. The set submix output volume directly sets the output volume of the submix. Okay, anything more than that? Is that it? You're just changing the submix volume? That's all this does. Hmm. Why? Hmm. I guess there is some need for doing something along those lines, but um, like I could see like the need for like increasing or decreasing like a submix volume level, like going back to the factory, right? You know,
Yeah.
if you're outside the factory, you're not hearing all the sounds coming from inside the factory. It'll be muffled. So maybe, you lower the volume so you instead of the submix being at like um, at a certain volume that you just have for just general purposes, right? Um, you know, then you can lower it based off of like, hey, you're outside of the room, so therefore you're not hearing it very loud. Whereas if you go inside the room, you maybe increase the volume even more. So
Another
maybe,
use is dialogue, maybe. If you have like a lot of noise around you, but you want the dialogue to stand out, then you would use it to make everything around you to lower its volume so you can hear the characters talking.
yeah, too. You know, so
I play games that don't do that, and it's very hard to hear the characters.
indeed, indeed. But at the same time, if you're immersed in the area, then it's like, well, yeah, it probably would be kind of hard to hear them. Like if you're like inside of a factory where everybody's like having to, you know, put on sound dampeners on their ears, then yeah, it would probably be really hard to hear someone unless they were shouting themselves, you know. So, but yeah, okay. Um, I could see, and then I could see a need for doing something along those lines. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
So. submix effect control and blueprints. Add submix effect dynamically adds a submix effect preset to the end of the submix effect chain. Okay. So so here's a problem that I have with this particular um I'm having a little bit of difficulty with these two images here. It's like they have the event begin play, you have the submix, you have the add submix effect, and then you have the basically the exact same thing right below, but it's now the remove. And it's like, wouldn't you want to have like, you have the add submix effect, and then you want it to have a certain amount of time, and then you do the remove, or maybe they have it, like I would like to see like a larger version of how they would handle an add and effect with like the submix or like a duration kind of like how would they go about doing that? Um, like now I'm not saying that, um, everything has to be like, perfectly in line with everything or like, um, I'm not expecting like, hey, you add the effect in, it's gonna last 10 seconds, and then you do the remove, okay, and every single time. No,
Mm,
I
what I
get,
can think of is like the event that is saying could be like going through a door, perhaps, or going into a cave, or out of it. That could be the event itself. Then, if you're going in, of course, you want to add it. But if you go out, you want to remove it.
yeah, but wouldn't you want to have something like instead of the event begin play, wouldn't that be more along the lines of event end play kind of thing? Like you have, um, like you enter, you enter in the cave, right? And then you add an echo effect in the cave, to your submix, right? So now all the sounds are affected, with an echo effect. Sure, no problem. But I mean, once you exit the cave, wouldn't that be more of an event end play than a begin play, or
It
is,
would be a separate event. Like going in is one event, going out is like its own separate event,
yeah, I
even
don't
if they have the same trigger.
know. Well, I mean, if the trigger location is in the same spot, then you'd have to judge as to where the player is entering from, and then determine you know do you end or do you or do you start or do you end the event in question? So um,
It depends how it's configured, probably.
yeah, like um, for let me take an example here. Um, in Subnautica, okay. You've played that game as well, so you know.
Yeah.
Um, when you go into the Aurora for the very first time, okay. If you go through certain areas, your the your iPad, your tablet will give you a message about what is kind of going on in the Aurora at that particular moment in time, right? And as you go further into the Aurora, you get more and more of these messages. Well, here's the thing. Here's the problem that we have with there's a problem that I have with that particular section is that there's two ways to get into the Aurora, right? There's typically the main path, that is the correct path, and then there's the typically regarded as the exit, you know, but people can still enter in there. Typically, it's blocked off by a lot of tables and stuff like that, so you'd have to remove everything in order to enter from there, but you could still enter, you know, in there. Problem is that when you do it that way, when you know go into the exit, um, you get everything backwards. You know, you get all these trigger events backwards. You know,
Yeah, but those events are on queue and aren't exactly repeatable. In this case, I would see it as something you use more on something that will repeat itself, like going into your underwater base. Water effects like go away. You'll be removing an effect there, and when you walk out of your base back into the water, you'll be adding that effect back in.
right?
Well,
Um,
the messages, those are a one-time on queue event.
right. But my point is just the fact that you know it the trigger there doesn't care where the character is coming from. Okay. So it, you know, as soon as you enter that zone, that trigger zone, it will, you know, start that event no matter what. Okay, it will do that, you know,
Yeah,
begin
it's
the event begin
boundary
play
breaking.
and stuff like that. Okay. Um,
Yeah, that's what happened when people do boundary break.
yeah. Um,
That will be in any game. Like if you're going from the wrong side somehow, then yeah, you're gonna carry everything backwards because the collisions were not programmed to have you backwards. You were never meant to go in from that side. That's why those on queue events are locked on one specific area to trigger once.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's the kind of the oversight of the devs in that, you know, particular case. Like they assumed, you know, oh, the player will always go into this particular route, and you know, you know, you don't have to worry about them seeing the other routes, and therefore, you know, them entering or in there, or you know, they basically was like on, okay, we're just gonna do it this way, and let's not worry about, you know, what happens if they go on through the other route. Um, but the point is that you know um, you know, if you're entering in the cave, you trigger that event. You know, you add that effect into it. You know, it adds that echo effect in there, right? So it just seems odd that you know they have another event begin play for like maybe exiting the um, you know, like exiting a cave. They would have another event begin play. But you know, I don't know. That's why I was, you know, it would be fantastic to be able to kind of see like a larger version of like these two kind of combined together
They're
in some
probably
way.
significantly larger. They're probably significantly larger when you start putting stuff in.
Probably, probably. But I'm just saying, you know, it'd be nice to be able to kind of see like a beginning and end of it, you know, kind of thing. But at least you know like the very a very basic understanding of it. Even you know, even if it's something simple, you know, would be nice to kind of be able to see, you know. But you know, we'll probably be playing around with that anyway, so we'll try to figure it out when the time comes. So, but, all right. Remove submix effect preset at index is similar to remove submix effect preset, but removes the submix effect preset at the given index in the submix effect chain if an effect exists at that index. Okay. Um, so if you have a lot of effects being added into a chain, you know, aka an array of effects, and you can remove one of them at any one particular point in time. So, so maybe like for example, you're going through the cave, and you might still be kind of hearing, some additional effects, but maybe you need to like remove the echo for some reason. So you can kind of remove that echo effect in there, but keep everything else, going. So maybe I don't know.
What I see this as it says, it's removing an index. I let me see an example. Uh, Say you went into an area, you did everything you had to do, but when you leave, you can never go back in there. So you don't really need the audio in there. So you just remove that index so it doesn't need to register anymore.
Well, no. This is talking about the effects, not the submix itself. This is removing the effects that is being placed on the submix. If it was removing the audio from that room, that'd be a different that would be a
It's
different
just
bloop.
removing its way to access the audio, pretty much. Not the audio itself, but the way to access it.
No, 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 no. Okay, so like I don't know how many effects you can place on an audio. Reverb, echo, I don't know. I don't know all the different effects that you can add um, into a submix, right? Um, you're changing the submix in some way. Like maybe you're increasing the pitch, maybe you're increasing the sound wave, the size of it. Maybe you're um, distorting it in some way, and you're adding a reverb, you're adding echo, whatever. Um, and that's adding into a chain of effects that are affecting the submix itself. What you're doing is it's saying that, hey, instead of you know um, removing all these effects on this one submix, it's basically saying I want to remove the pitch, but I'm keeping everything else. You know, I'm
Yeah,
we're no longer changing the
that's
pitch of the submix, so we're removing that index from this chain of effects that are affecting the
and
submix.
that's what I'm pretty much saying. That it removes the index. That's what I'm saying. If there's something in said index that you don't want to access, then remove the index, whatever's in that index.
Right, you're removing the
Right,
effect
remove
that
the index.
you're removing the effect that is located at said index. Yes. Okay. As long as we're on the same track on that one. It sounded like you were trying to say that they were removing a sound file, which isn't
No, they're removing the index.
right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they're removing the effect, at that index. So, okay,
Yeah.
okay. As long as we're good. All right. So replace submix effect. Replaces the submix effect preset at the given index with the new effect preset. Okay. So in other words, instead of say, hey, I want to, we're changing the pitch, but now we want to have an echo here. So we're going to remove the pitch and we're going to put in an echo. That's basically that's what I'm kind of getting out of this one. So, clear submix effects clears the submix effects chain on the given submix. Hmm. Okay. Um,
I can't think of when you would use this.
and how is that not something similar to like remove? what is isn't clear the same as a the remove effects. Hmm.
I don't know. I can't think of a situation in which you would do this. Unless
Hold on a second.
maybe if you were like to like get a game over or like load a game, you need to clear it so it can load in whatever was there before.
Well, here's the thing that like okay, um, it's saying here remove if subex effect preset. Okay, and if you look on the image here, it says submix effect preset delay. So it's removing a delayed effect from the submix, you know. So that chain is no longer having the delay on that submix whatsoever. Whether or not it removes like all of the delays or anything like that, but like maybe, um, I don't know how, I don't know how the chain works, right? I'm not quite sure what it means by a submix effect chain. I don't really get what they're kind of talking about there. Obviously, the submix could be like a 10-minute soundtrack, right? It could be like, it could be like 10 minutes of sound. It could be music, could be sound effects, whatever, right? Submix could be that long, right? Potentially, I'm just thinking out loud. So maybe at one point in time in the submix, they said, hey, we need to add a delay in there before it starts back up again, right? So that 10 minutes now becomes like 11 minutes, right? It puts in a delay, it ends that delay, and then you continue on. Um, you know, they might be able to do that like again, like multiple times. Like they might add like 1 minute delays and like, add five 1 minute delays, in that 10-minute, you know, submix, section. So now it's like, 15 minutes, right?
Right.
Just thinking out loud here. I don't really know. If it says, remove submix effect preset, where it says like, hey, remove delay, would it remove like all those potential delays? If I'm thinking correctly, would it be basically saying, hey, I'm going to remove all the delays in that submix, or would it like remove the one? I'm not quite sure about that,
I
right?
guess it depends how you set it up on the blueprint.
Yeah, maybe. Again, I don't know. Um, I don't know how they handle the chains and stuff like that. Um, but let's say, you have like multiple effects, much like the index there, right? You have index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3, index 4, that's all filled with, all these delays, right?
Right.
Um, but the remove might only remove like one effect at a time. Same with the remove index, it would only remove one at a time. So maybe clear is the one that will actually remove them all. You know, um, like you might have like different presets added into your sound mix, right? It might not just be delay. It might be like echo. It might be like pitch up or pitch down or whatever. I don't know. Like I said, I don't really know what the um, all the different effects there are that you can add into the Unreal Engine, right? Um, so
Clear, we just get rid of all of it.
Clear would probably just get rid of all of them. all at once, remove them all so you no longer have any effects affecting that sound mix, afterwards.
Yeah.
So, um, so like you have a basically character dialogue, right? Or character speaking. You're adding some effects into that character speaking, because they're in a certain area. Like you add like an effect, an echo effect to them. Like maybe you're adding like a little pitch up or pitch down or whatever. And then once they exit said cave, you want to remove all that. So you do the clear, clears all the effects, and now you're hearing them naturally without any effects affecting their speech. So maybe that's what's kind of going on here. Maybe.
Maybe.
So, set sound mix effect chain override provides a way to override the entire submix effect chain at once. Okay. Like right here, they're saying, hey, we're gonna make an array of the different effects, and you can see the array here of the indexes, delay effect, filtering, so on and so forth, that is changing the sound mix. So, like when you are adding in a submix effect, it might automatically put it into like an index of 0. Like you add your first effect in, and it puts it into index 0. So you could remove just index 0, and you basically clear out the effects, right? If you just add in the 1, right? Um, so in the override, you're basically changing what effects are already in place on the submix, and you're just kind of putting in this brand new effect chain into it. You're completely changing around like the ordering or whatever. I don't know exactly how, you know, what the ordering really does per se. How it changes based off of the ordering. How would a submix be affected by a delay effect and filtering? I don't really know. Um, but it it does a complete replacement of it from the sounds of it. So that's interesting. Hmm. Questions? Or any
No.
concerns that you might have? Do you feel like we're do you feel the same way that that I am, or do you feel like there's something a little different than what I said? You know,
Well, let's see what's underneath it. It explains what each one does.
okay. So properties is sound submix, the submix to override with the submix effect preset chain. The submix effect preset chain is an array of submix effect presets. And fade time seconds, the crossfade time of the submix effect chain. This will fade from the current effect chain to the new effect chain override. Alright, so, it will fade the old effect chain for 2 seconds while it brings in the new chain in. So,
That way the change isn't abrupt or sudden.
well, I mean, yeah, the fade time would basically be, um, well, I mean, you can kind of do that right now, right? If you go to studio mode, right, that we have in OBS, right? There is, you can change the transition from say, the live to like webcam, right? Like let's say that I want to do a transition to webcam, right, in the studio mode. Um, and there's an option to do the fade, um, but it's not really giving me the. Oh, okay, that's the. Um, let's see there, and it's giving a lot of um, the time between the two is quite short in my studio mode right at this moment in time. So 300 milliseconds is really not a lot of time.
Mm,
Um,
3 seconds, pretty much.
no, it's milliseconds. 300 milliseconds. That's point 0.3 seconds. That's not very long. Um, but if I like increase the fade from 300 milliseconds to maybe 1000 milliseconds, basically 1 second, then the transition might take a little bit longer. Um, so so now it's the you know the change is a little bit more pronounced, obviously, with that kind of a fade. You kind of see the change of that transition from one set, so from one to the other. So that's kind of what it's all about with the effect chain. But in this case, again, I don't know what the effects they're talking about per se. I mean, I see delay effect and filtering, but um, let's put it back to live. Um, so I don't know what effects that they had prior to that. Maybe they just had a delay, for example, right? So now they're changing the single delay into the, you know, like maybe they have a delay and then they have a filtering afterwards, right? So
Mm,
they're trying to add like a delay effect in there, but they don't want to like try to rearrange all the all the effects that are happening on that submix. Like they don't necessarily want to try to remove and then add and all that kind of jazz. They just want to change the full on chain. Um, and the fade time will just basically say, okay, in those 2 seconds, we're taking the delay and filtering from the old one, and we're slowly changing it over, within those 2 seconds, we're changing the delay and filtering over to the delay effect, and filtering. How it does that, I don't really know. The fade, you know, uh, the one would think, hey, you know, you're lowering the volume for the one effects and you're increasing the volume for the other. So eventually the audio for the one effects will be zero and can be complete, is gone, and then you have the other effects that are at full volume. So so that's kind of what the fade is pretty much all about. So, um, it's like are you kind of getting it, or shall I provide another example of a fade?
The fade, I'm guessing it'll just be depending how we set it up.
What do you mean?
Well, while the sound is being delayed, like the fade can be used for both lowering the volume of, like fading out the old audio while it's also fading in the new one, or have the old one fade out first before fading in the new audio.
I don't know if they give too much um, control over how you fade in um, the new effects chain. Okay, from the looks of it, it sounds like this is a complete overwrite, like right then and there. Okay, like if you want to like fade out the the effect chain with no, you know, with no effect chain coming back in, then you'd probably want to do. Hmm, I don't think there's really any
We
kind
can't
of.
really see what that delay effect is actually doing. Like there is a delay, there's also a delay effect, which could be a fade in and itself.
Well, again, I don't know how the chain really works in that regard. Um, but the the fade time is all affecting is just affecting the chain. You're replacing one chain with another. That's it. That's all the chain, and that's all the fade time is talking about. You're changing one list of array. You're changing one array to another. That's it. That's all the fade is kind of talking about here. So you could have a effect chain of like 10 different effects affecting the submix, and now you're changing it over to a effect chain of say like just three, right? So you're removing a lot of effects and a lot of different chain, whatever's happening on the submix, you're fading out the old chain of like 10 effects, and you're slowly like increasing the volume of the new chain of like three. That's basically what it's doing there. So, and it's not, I mean, you can have it instantaneous where the fade time could be like zero, completely cuts out the 10, you now have the three. So you could have that. Um, or it could be like super long, a long effect time. Like it could be 10 seconds. So, the 10 will take 10 seconds to fade out completely to zero, where the 3 will take 10 seconds to slowly make up to the full volume or something like that. I don't know. But I don't think there's a way to um, fade out the 10 to 0 and then start the fade in for the 3 afterwards. This override doesn't seem to give that
I just don't
process.
understand once we start messing with it, since we can't see the submix preset either. So we know there's a submix, we just don't know how it's configured.
Yeah,
Because once we start messing with it, we might get the hang of it.
yeah, but yeah, this. Well, I mean, the submix will stay the same. Okay, this is only affecting the what's affecting that submix. That's it. You understand that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so just want to make sure. um, yeah, the submix doesn't change. It will kind of remain. For anybody that doesn't, like maybe you're still kind of confused about it. The submix doesn't change. Okay, you can add all these different sound effects, audio or whatever into submix. The submix won't necessarily change from that. You can take that submix, put it into another spot in the game, and it will have the same exact sounds. All the sound effects, music, and so on and so forth. You can basically take that submix and repeat it multiple times, I would imagine, right, in the game. Um, so one would imagine. Again, I could be completely wrong on that, but it would seem kind of silly for them to not be able to do that too. If maybe I'm just crazy. Um, if I'm wrong, then feel free to correct me. I'm more than willing to take that L and let me know like, hey, I'm being stupid on that. But I would imagine that you can take a one submix and put it multiple times, you know, in a game. Um, the effect chain is you're basically adding in effects. What effects are, I don't really know. They're saying delay effect, filtering, maybe echo, maybe pitch, maybe something else. that's changing the submix in some way. Okay, you're adding something into that submix that will change it somehow in some way. I'm not quite sure exactly how or you know well why I understand, but I'm not quite sure exactly how it would change it, right? Um, so you know the effects, you're adding effects into the chain. You're adding like 10 effects, like I said. You're putting in all these different effects that are changing the submix in some fashion or another. Okay, and what this override is basically doing is that saying, hey, I don't want these 10 effects affecting the submix anymore. You know, you would think you're clearing it out, you're clearing out all the effects, so it's just the submix back to its original state, right? But no, in this particular case, they are wanting to put in a different chain of effects. Again, how it does it, I don't really know. Um, but they're replacing an old chain that they had on there, could be like the 10 effects, like I said, with a brand new one that they're adding in here, you know, for delay effect, and filtering. They're adding it into this. So now the submix is now being affected by this particular chain of effects, the delay effect, and filtering. And it's removing the previous one. The previous one is gone. It's no longer viable. They they aren't using it anymore. It's you know you don't care about it. It's done. It's cleared out. So that's what the override, I would imagine,
Mm,
is
the override
doing.
doesn't remove it. If you look further down below, the next part says clear override. That means it would go back to its original preset. So the override won't really get rid of the original submix, but it can go back to it.
Oh, that's true. Interesting. Hmm. That makes it to be, and that can make for a really messy effect chain if that's
Oh,
the case. Like if you're not careful, if you're like adding in new effect chain and new effect chain, new effect chain, then you're basically um, potentially just adding more into your memory. You could overload your memory if you're not careful with that. Hmm. Um. Okay. Let me explain a little bit why this could be potentially dangerous here. Okay. In C++, um, one of the major problems that a lot of people have with C and C++ is pointers, memory management, and memory leaks. Okay, hence the reason why you typically have Java with the garbage collection, right? Um, what if you don't mind, I can kind of explain this a little bit more there, Blackheart, if you're okay with that. Would you
oh,
like?
don't I don't really have a lot of time left.
Okay. Um, I'm worried that this could be a problem with memory management, but we can worry about that tomorrow. We can worry about that tomorrow. I'll maybe explain this a little bit more tomorrow, or my ideas about it tomorrow. Sound good? We can close out here for now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and close on out on this. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording on this. I'm gonna thank everybody for watching. So, um, give it a like and subscribe to both of us. It would be fantastic. It would help us out on the YouTube algorithm. Check out our description for Blackheart and I for links that helps us out. And yeah. Okay, so stop recording.